They were waiting for it. The moment they pulled away, the moment they gave you the cold shoulder, the moment they started acting distant, they were expecting a reaction because that's how the game usually goes, right? They ignore you, create distance, and you close the gap. They test your patience and you prove your worth. It's a cycle they've seen play out countless times before, and they were convinced you'd do the same. But you didn't. You didn't beg, you didn't plead, you didn't even flinch. And that's when everything changed. Because they weren't just testing you, they were testing their own power. They wanted to see if they could shake you, make you question yourself, if they could push you just far enough to prove that they had the upper hand. But instead of scrambling to fix things, instead of falling into the trap, instead of proving anything to them, you gave them nothing. And that silence, that indifference, that unshaken confidence, that's what's breaking them now. They were ready for every possible response. Anger, sadness, frustration, even desperate attempts to win them back. But what they weren't ready for was your absence. They checked their phone, expecting to see a message from you. Nothing. Nothing. They posted something subtle to get your attention, just to see if you'd react. Still nothing. They started wondering, did I push too far? Did I miscalculate? And now they're not so sure anymore. Because every time they've played this game in the past, it worked. They got the response they wanted. They got the validation, the control. But with you, they got silence. And now, instead of feeling powerful, instead of feeling like they won, instead of feeling like they had you wrapped around their finger, they feel uneasy. Because when someone expects you to beg and you don't, it forces them to question everything. Now the silence isn't just noticeable, it's bothering them. At first, they played it cool. They told themselves it didn't matter, that you'd come crawling back any minute now. They laughed it off, maybe even felt a little satisfaction at the idea that they had you exactly where they wanted. But as the hours turned into days, and the days stretched into weeks, something shifts. Because now they're starting to feel your absence, and it's not just about missing you, it's about realizing they never expected to miss you at all. See, they thought they had control over the situation. They believed that by pulling away, they were the ones dictating the outcome. They assumed that if they withdrew, you would naturally do what most people do. Chase after them, prove your value, reassure them of their importance. But now you're nowhere to be found, and suddenly that confidence they had is cracking. They expected you to do what everyone else has done in the past. They expected you to react, to explain, to ask what went wrong. They were ready to roll their eyes at your attempt to fix things while secretly enjoying the power they had over you. But instead, you vanished. No calls, no texts, no reaction. And that's when the real panic starts to set in, because now they don't know where they stand. Before, they had certainty. They knew you were there, that you wanted them. They knew they could take their time and return whenever they pleased. But now that certainty is gone, the human mind doesn't handle uncertainty well, so they start thinking about you more than they ever intended to. They start checking their phone more often, scrolling through old conversations, looking for signs they might have missed. They start replaying memories, wondering when exactly the shift happened, trying to pinpoint the moment they lost their grip on you. And the worst part, the longer you stay silent, the more obsessed they become. Because now, it's not just about missing you, it's about needing answers. They need to know if you're thinking about them. They need to know if you're waiting for them. They need to know if you've moved on. But they can't ask, because reaching out would mean admitting defeat. And so they sit with the one feeling they were never prepared for. Regret. That regret only grows stronger. At first, they try to fight it. They tell themselves they made the right choice, that pulling away was part of their plan, that it's just a matter of time before you finally cave in. But deep down, something doesn't feel right, because this wasn't how it was supposed to go. They thought you'd reach out by now. They thought you'd be watching their stories, liking their posts, dropping hints that you're still affected. But the fact that you're not, that's the part that's driving them crazy. Because now they're the ones who don't have control. They were the prize. Instead of believing they could dictate how this ends, they're the ones waiting for a sign, waiting for a text, waiting for anything that confirms they still have a grip on you. But all they get is silence. And that silence forces them to ask themselves questions they never had to ask before. Did I underestimate them? Was I not as important as I thought? What if I actually lost them for good? Because people don't just feel the loss of someone, they fear realizing they were never as special as they assumed. And that's the realization creeping into their mind right now. It's not just that they miss you. It's not just that they're curious about what you're doing. It's that they're realizing you had something they can't easily replace. Maybe it was your energy, maybe it was your patience, maybe it was the way you understood them in a way nobody else ever has. Whatever it was, they feel the difference now. Because when they try to distract themselves, it doesn't work. When they try to move on, something feels off. When they meet someone new, it's not the same. The hardest part? They know that if they reach out now, it won't be the same. Because they don't just fear losing you. They fear that you've already lost interest in them, and that thought, that's what keeps them up at night. Now the weight of that realization is hitting them harder than they ever expected. At first, they try to shake it off. They distract themselves with meaningless conversations, mindless scrolling, and forced laughter in social settings. They go out more, trying to fill the silence with noise and surround themselves with people who can temporarily mask the emptiness they're starting to feel. But no matter how much they try to suppress it, it lingers. Because you weren't just another person passing through their life. You weren't just another moment of attention. You were real. And now that they're left with nothing but the echo of your absence, they finally understand what they lost wasn't just you. It was the security of knowing they had you. See, when they pulled away, they assumed you'd fight for them. They assumed you'd be there, waiting, ready to prove yourself, desperate to make things right. But your silence shattered that illusion. And that's when the self-doubt starts creeping in. Because if you're not reaching out, if you're not reacting, if you're not chasing after them like they expected, then maybe you never needed them as much as they thought. And that's a thought they can't shake. Because up until now, they believed they had the upper hand. They believed that they were the ones in control. But your silence has exposed something terrifying. They were never the prize, and now they're the ones feeling replaceable. So they start looking for proof. They scroll through your old messages, searching for any reassurance that they still hold space in your mind. They check your social media, hoping for a sign that you're still watching, still lingering, still affected. They replay memories, trying to convince themselves that there's still an open door somewhere. But with every passing day, the door feels more closed than before. Because the truth is, you were never theirs to control. And now they're realizing that the very thing they took for granted, the version of you that would have done anything for them, is gone. Not because you wanted revenge, not because you wanted to teach them a lesson, not because you're playing games, but because you finally saw your own worth. And that's something they can never undo. Now that realization is sinking deeper than they ever imagined. At first, they try to push it away. They tell themselves they'll be fine, that they never needed you anyway, that this is just a temporary phase. Maybe they even convince themselves that you'll be back eventually, that you just need time, that you'll cave in, that you'll reach out like everyone else has in the past. But deep down, they know something is different, because time isn't making them forget. It's doing the opposite. Instead of moving on, instead of feeling free, instead of enjoying the attention from others, they're stuck, because you left a mark. And not just any mark, a mark that's impossible to erase. It's in the way their heart skips a beat when they think they saw you somewhere. It's in the way they hesitate before posting something, wondering if you'll see it. It's in the way they go about their day, and out of nowhere, a memory of you interrupts everything. And that's the thing. They can distract themselves all they want, but they can't outrun their own mind. Because now they're the ones feeling out of control. Before, they thought they had the power. They thought they could manipulate the situation however they wanted. They thought they could pull back, disappear, make you feel uncertain while they remained unaffected. But now they're the ones stuck. They don't know where they stand with you anymore. They don't know if you're thinking about them. They don't know if they'll ever get another chance. And that fear, it grows stronger every single day. Because they're realizing that losing you wasn't just losing a person. It was losing the validation, the security, the comfort of knowing that someone truly cared about them. And now they don't know if they'll ever get that back. Not because you're being petty, not because you're trying to punish them, not because you're playing some mind game, but because you don't need them anymore. And that's the part they can't accept. People expect anger, they expect emotional reactions, they expect begging, pleading, and last chances. But what they never expect is for someone to realize their worth and simply walk away. And that's what's breaking them now. The reality they never prepared for is staring them in the face. They thought they had all the time in the world. They thought they could push you away, string you along, and that you'd always be there waiting in the background, hoping for another chance. But now they're the ones hoping you'll reach out, hoping they still have some kind of pull over you, hoping that at the very least they haven't completely lost their grip on your emotions. But deep down, they know, because everything about this feels different. The usual tricks aren't working. The subtle posts, the cryptic messages, the half-hearted attempts to get your attention, it's all met with silence. And silence, that's what's destroying them. Because when someone is truly done, when they truly detach, when they truly remove themselves from the equation, there's nothing left to manipulate. And that's what's terrifying them now. They never actually thought about what it would feel like to lose you. They never imagined a world where you weren't an option, where they weren't on your mind, where they weren't the center of your attention. But now they're living in that world, and it's miserable. Because when they try to fill the space with someone else, it doesn't work. The conversations feel empty, the excitement is gone, the effort from others feels forced. Because the truth is, they weren't looking for just anyone, they were looking for you. And now they're faced with the one thing they never expected to feel: regret. Regret that they took you for granted. Regret that they assumed you would always be there. Regret that instead of appreciating what they had, they let it slip right through their fingers. The worst part? They don't even know if it's fixable, because you're no longer the person who fought for them. You're no longer the person who craved their approval. You're no longer the person who would have done anything to keep them. You've changed, and now they're the ones who have to live with that. Now they're facing a truth they never thought would apply to them. They always believed they were the exception, the one who could walk away without consequence, the one who could test someone's patience without losing them, the one who could always come back whenever they pleased. But this time, they're the ones on the outside looking in. They scroll through their phones, staring at your name, wondering if they should reach out. But they don't. Not because they don't want to, but because they're afraid. Afraid that you won't respond. Afraid that you've truly moved on. Afraid that if they try to come back, they'll be met with the same indifference they once showed you. And that's the thing about playing games. They only work when the other person is still playing. But you left the game and now they're stuck in it alone. While they were expecting you to break, to chase, to fight for them, you did the one thing they never saw coming. You gave them nothing, and that nothing speaks louder than words ever could. So now, every moment they spend in silence, every second they spend wondering, every attempt they make to move on only reinforces one brutal reality. They lost you, not because you were taken, not because of bad timing, not because of circumstances. They lost you because they pushed too far. And now the only thing left for them to do is sit with that loss. And you just keep moving forward. Because the real win is knowing you never needed them in the first place. And that's the lesson they never saw coming. They thought they had all the time in the world, but now they're the ones left wondering, overthinking, and regretting. And you're already ahead. So keep moving forward. Keep focusing on yourself. Because the moment you stop proving your worth to people who never deserved it in the first place, that's the moment you truly win. If this video hit home for you, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Have you ever walked away and watched someone realize your value too late? Let's talk about it. And if you're ready for the next level, click the next video on your screen and keep going.